King H7 of Magnus Carlsen in SuperBet Poland 2024 Rapid and Blitz round number 6, my fellow chessers. Hello, my fellow chessers. I'm gonna show to you the chess game between Magnus Carlsen and Gukesh in SuperBet Poland 2024 Rapid and Blitz round number 6. So let's begin from the top, my fellow chessers. Wait, so let's begin on e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. This is, what's this? Gukesh piano. Knight f6, knight g5. Wow, knight g5, my fellow chessers. d5. This is Italian game, my fellow chessers. d5, and then e takes d5. b5, my fellow chessers. b5. This is Italian game. Two knights defense. Wow. Bishop f1. Ooh, did not take this. So we're gonna see it later. So knight takes d5 and then bishop takes d5. This is Italian game, two knights defense. So bishop b7. Why did not take this? Because we have take this, my fellow chessers. So so let's continue on. Bishop b7, defending this knight on c6. d4, and then e takes d4, castles king's hide. Bishop e7, knight f3, castles king's side, bishop takes c6, bishop takes c6, and then knight takes d4. Wait a minute, my fellow chessers. What if you take this in this position? If you take this, we have continuation on queen to d5, queen takes d5, defense to defend this knight on c6. So let's continue from the game, the real game. So knight takes d4, and then bishop b7, and then knight d2. Mistake or inaccuracy. The best continuation on this position is c4, my fellow chessers, as you can see. So let's continue on knight d2, and then rook e8, and then c3, c5, knight f5, bishop f8, and then knight f3. What's the idea of knight f3? Attacking this side. So let's continue the game. So queen f6, and then knight g3, and then h6. Inaccuracy. The best continuation on this position is knight b6, as you can see, my fellow chessers. So let's continue on h6, and then queen c2, and then rook a d8, rook d1, and then knight b6, rook takes d6, rook takes d8, and then rook takes d8, and then knight e1, and then rook e8, and then bishop e3, knight c4, and then knight f1, bishop, knight takes e3, and then knight takes e3, c4. Ooh. And then queen a4, attacking the pawn on a7. So let's continue the game on. Rook takes e3. Wow, sacrificing the rook on e3. And then f takes e3, and then bishop c5, and then knight f3. Blunder of Gukesh, my fellow chessers. The best continuation on this position is queen e8, as you can see, my fellow chessers. So let's continue the game from let's continue the game. Knight f3, bishop takes e3, king f1, bishop c6, attacking the queen on on a4. And then queen a4, queen d1. What if you take this? We have take this, my fellow judges. So let's continue the game from queen d1, bishop e4, queen d7, and then king h7. Blunder of Magnus Carlsen, my fellow chessers. The best continuation on this position is bishop d3. What? Bishop d3, and if we take this, we have queen to d7, my fellow chesser. I will explain So we have queen e8, then king h7, and we have b3. And wow, my fellow chessers, you will sacrifice this, my fellow chessers. And if we take, we have queen to f2, my fellow chessers, and we have king to d1, and we have this side, and this side, and then we have this side, and then this side, my fellow chessers. As you can see, the leading of Magnus Carlsen. If it's take, we have this side, and then this side, and we have this side, and then king f2, and then bishop c4, defend at the same time defending the pawn on f7, my fellow chessers. As you can see, Magnus Carlsen leading in a file, but this is the big blunder of Magnus Carlsen, my fellow chessers. So king h7, wait, in this king h7, and then king to e2, king e2, bishop b6, rook e1, and then queen g6, attacking the pawn on g2, my fellow chessers. So let's continue the game on king to d1, queen takes g2, and then rook takes e4, and then queen takes f3, and then rook e2, and then bishop e3, and then b3, and then queen f1, rook e1, and then queen f3, and then rook e2, and then queen f1, and then rook e1, queen f3, and then draw, my fellow chessers. The big blunder, the blunder of Magnus Carlsen is the king h7 on this side, and then king h7.